Hi, I'm David Secor, candidate, United States House of Representatives, District 50, the seat currently held by Mr. Duncan Hunter. This is the first in a series of fireside chats. I want to talk to you about the issues that are important to the people in District 50 as well as citizens across the country. This initial chat deals with why we're here in the first place. I've been a working man all my life. I have no political experience. I'm not the son of a congressman. I don't have money. But I'm running because, as Martin Luther King once said, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular. But he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. We've watched over the last 30 years a steady decline of the American middle class. It's reached a point now where people have taken to the streets. They call themselves the 99%. They were, until very recently, what we see here on this Time magazine cover, the silent majority. I want to talk today about how we got here and where we are. The first thing I want to show you is the graph. And it shows the poverty rate from year 2000 to 2010. As you can see, in the year 2000 it was just over 11%, and now it's over 15%. 23% of the children in America live in poverty. They will be the first generation since the Great Depression to grow up in poverty. Here's an interesting one too. I could just say it, but I want you to see it because it has a tremendous amount of impact for me. 1/3 of the people who were born into the American middle class have slipped down the economic ladder as an adult. 1/3. So we now have a situation as of 2010 where the median income in the United States is $26,300. That means half the people in the United States have an annual income of $26,300 or less. Now, I don't know about this county. I suppose a person could live on $26,300 if they were single. They lived in a studio apartment and had no bills. But half the people in this country earn $26,300 or less. And in the last year, they found their income down 1.2%. At the same time, people making $1 million or more, their income grew by 18%. What's wrong with this picture? Let's look at the growth in real after-tax income over the last 30 years. This actually goes from 1979 to 2007, but basically holds true today. In those 30 years, the people at the lowest level, in those 30 years, their income grew 18%. And for those of us in the middle class, over the last 30 years, our income grew about 40%. This is the top 1%. Over the past 30 years, their after-tax income grew 275%. This is another graph of the same thing, picture of the same thing. Bottom 20%, 18% growth. Average household, 40%, and the top 1%, 275% over the last 30 years. That is 15 times as fast as the bottom 20%, and 7 times as fast as the average household. Here's a graph showing the effective federal tax rates from 1955 through 2007. Now this is an interesting graph because if you look back, way back in 1955, this red group is the average household. This is the top 400 taxpayers in America. Just those 400. Back in 1955, the average family would pay 7.4%. The top 400 taxpayers were paying 51% plus. Look what's happened in this blue-green graph as time has gone over the last 30 years. That's what the top 400 have been paying. So that by 2007, they were paying 16.6%. Now the average family was paying 7.4% in 55, and they're now paying 13.6. So if you look here, in 55, 2007, you'll see that for the top 400 taxpayers in America, their tax bill has been reduced by 2/3. But if you look at the median family, their tax burden has gone from 7.4% in 55 to 13.6% in 2007. The average family, it's almost doubled. While for the top 400, it's been reduced by 2/3. One other graph I'd like to show you. This is the financial industry, your Goldman Sachs people. Their profits as a share of total U.S. business profits. This goes from 1948 to 2010. And you'll see here, just after World War II, that for, as far as financial industry profits, as a share of total profits, it was down around 15%. That's because after World War II, we still made things. Then, here is where President Clinton and the Congress decided to repeal the Glass-Steagall Act. Glass-Steagall was an act that was enacted after the crash of 1929 to protect the people from the outrageous actions of the financial community. It worked very well for over 50 years. When we had the savings and loan problems in the late 70s, it didn't take the nation down with it because Glass-Steagall was still in place. But in the mid-90s, the President and the Congress were convinced it was no longer needed, that the country would be much better off without regulations. And so, as a share of total business profits, the financial industry profits skyrocketed until 2008, where we finally found out what it means to operate without regulation. It was a crash. So, that time the financial institutions which gambled with our money and lost, we bailed them out. They got bailed out, we got sold out. That's why people are in the streets, is because they have been abandoned by their leaders in government. Leaders who are bought and paid for by PACs, lobbyists, corporations. Multinational corporations have no loyalty to a country. The only thing that's important to them is profits. And if it means you losing your job so they can make $1, that's how it's going to be. The recent one I saw a month or so ago was Nokia, the phone company, going to lay off 10,000 workers. And what happened to their stock? It went up. The money people saw that people were being laid off. They realized it meant more money for them, and the stock went up. The American people have taken to the streets because their government has abandoned them. I'm running for Congress because the working men and women who are the true heart and soul of America are going to take this government back. I take no money from unions. I take no money from lobbyists. I take no money from PACs or corporations. I take no donations over $100 to demonstrate to you that my vote is not for sale. Come 2012, the people in District 50 are going to have their own lobbyist in Washington. It's going to be me. And I'm going to be working for all the people. But I can't do this alone. I need your help. I need your help to get, especially those who have left the field, those people, those working men and women who have been ground down over time, have given up, who don't register, or if they do, don't bother to vote because the game is rigged. Well, it has been rigged. But I'm telling you now, we can turn that around. Because money, the money that controls Washington right now, is really only the apparent power. The real power is in the people. Because the multinational corporations and the PACs, they can stuff congressmen's pockets with money. But they can't stuff the ballot box. And that's where we have the power. We have the numbers. If you want to turn this country around, if you want to make this the land of opportunity for all, not just the privileged few, then you must register and you must vote. Because until you vote, the people's power is only potential power. But if we go to the ballot box, we can't be stopped. No amount of money can stop us. So that's why I don't want you to be part of the silent majority anymore. I know that a lot of the people in the Occupy movement, they've been denigrated, ridiculed as being communists, freaks, radicals. Well, I took part in the march, the Friday march downtown San Diego, and the people at that march were people like me. And because there's a few freaks, or whatever you want to call them, at these marches, that doesn't take away from the truth, as I showed you in these graphs today. We must take the government back, and we will. Our next chat will be about jobs, which is the #1 issue facing America today. This is a Gallup poll. What is the most important problem facing America? And if you look, the first thing is unemployment. And it's showing that at 39%, general economy 28%, dissatisfaction with the government, which is probably based on the top two, 14%, and finally 12%, the deficit. Now that's important, because we have a lot of people talking about the only thing we can do to put this country back together again is to keep cutting and cutting and cutting. I'm going to demonstrate to you next time why that is a complete and total fallacy, and why we can grow our way back to prosperity and reinstate the middle class to the position it belongs. So join me then. In the meantime, you can check out my website, davidsecor4congress.com, and on that website you can email me any questions you have or comments. Also on the website is icons for Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can view some of the speeches I've given to this point. But in the meantime, keep the faith, because we will get our government back, and we will make this country what it's supposed to be, the land of opportunity for all. Thanks very much.